What'd I do? $4 million out. I don't know where it went. That's Shohei Ohtani saying yesterday that, well, this is a theft. My interpreter thieved from me. He took my scratch. Now, before I get into all of this, let me say this. I actually kind of, sort of, maybe believe that Ohtani didn't know because his bank account's so big, didn't pay attention to withdrawals. I'll tell you a story. My first marriage, I didn't have the codes. My wife's like, yeah, you don't need to know. And I'm like, all right. Well, as soon as I got divorced, I brought my financial guy in, a.k.a. my father, and I went through everything. And now I go through everything every day, literally every day. But when you got a bank account this big and you're balling and in your 20s and you're doing your thing, you know what? Maybe it slips by. But $500,000 payments and a bunch of them, that don't make no sense. It just don't make no sense. So we're supposed to believe Ohtani and his best friend here, well, he stole from him. It's happened before. I'm not mad at him, but he stole from him after he had told the world that Ohtani paid for it. Look, the guy, the interpreter, has been a fraud his entire life. The interpreter lied about a variety of things, where he went to college, what he did, previous jobs. And it's fascinating to me. Let's stay there for a second. It's fascinating to me that the Angels bring in the number one star, and you can make this argument, non-United States, non-hold on, soccer division. Like Ohtani was a major star. I mean, last I looked all across Asia, there's a lot of people. A lot of dudes know him. He came in as a star. He had a lot of heat on him. And they bring him in, and we're to believe, and they did this actually, they brought in an interpreter that is a crook. Not a crook just because he stole from Ohtani, but a liar and seemingly a con man as he's been painted now. Now, seriously, think about that. If I'm bringing in a star of stars and I'm going to have a guy be his guy everywhere, two things have to happen. One, obviously, he's got to get along and be comfortable with Ohtani and Ohtani him. More Ohtani him. But two, guys, I got to know who this guy is. I'm giving this dude carte blanche. He's in the dugout. He's sitting next to Ohtani. He has influence on Ohtani. Of course he does. You go to a new country, you got all this pressure, you're going to be leaning on somebody. Well, what are the Angels doing, given this dude? And then the Dodgers, same thing. That's the first thing I thought. You know, if he paid off the guy's gambling debts, I could care less. If he bet on football, I could care less. If he bet on baseball, I kind of care. If he bet on himself, I really care. But who in the hell just lets some con man hang out with the number one star of stars? I guess the answer is the Angels. I guess. All right, let's hear from different people, including Ohtani, on this situation. Here's what Ohtani had to say.
Just on a personal note, I'm very saddened and shocked that someone who I'm trusted has done this.
まずはじめに、僕自身は、何かにかけたりとか、誰かに代わって、そのスポーツイベントにかけたりとか、それをまた頼んだり、っていうことはないですし、僕の口座からブックメーカーに対して、誰かに送金を依頼したことももちろん全く、ありません。
So I never bet on baseball or any other sports, or never have asked somebody to do it on my behalf, and I have never went through a bookmaker to bet on sports. In conclusion, Ipe has been stealing money from my account and has told lies.
All right. Why did he get your account numbers? Like I said in my first marriage, I didn't even have the access to get in the accounts. I mean, that was me. I'm stupid, right? I'm dumb that way. But why did he have access to your accounts? I mean, I get it. The dude is your friend. I got a lot of friends. They don't have access to my accounts. I got kids. They don't have access to my accounts. So how in the hell is this guy getting access to your accounts? I would like to know that question. I would. Because in this next little clip, he puts all the blame. I think this is the next clip. All the blame.
で一平さんは僕にこういった取材の依頼があるということをまず、僕には話していなかったし、僕の方にそういう連絡はまず来ていなかったということと、まずはじめに代理人には、一平さんは僕と話して分かったのは、一平さんにではなく、某友人の借金の肩代わりとして、支払ったというふうに、僕の代理人も含めてみんなに話してました。
So Ippei never revealed to me that there was this media inquiry, and to the representatives in my camp, Ippei told to the media and to my representatives that I, on behalf of a friend, paid off debt. Upon further questioning, it was revealed that it was actually, in fact, Ippei who was in debt, and all of this has been a complete lie. So Ippei has been telling everybody around that Ippei has been communicating with Shohei on all of this account to my representative, to the team, and that hasn't been true. I didn't know that Ippei had a gambling addiction and was in debt.
Okay. I mean, let's say that's all true. Then Ohtani has the worst best friend, the worst interpreter. Where's his accountant in all this? Like, where is the money going? Like, is the money going to the interpreter? Is the money going to the bookie? Meaning, when it's drawn out, what's the bank in this? Hey, man, $500,000 is drawn out. I get alerts when I got, like, I don't know, $200 drawn out of my Capital One account. I get an alert. This you? Yeah, man, that's me. I did. I mean, where's his agent in all this? Where's the bank in all this? Where's his money man? Where are all these people in all this? Like, everybody just said, yeah, 500,000's gone here. Yeah. I mean, I'm no math major, but $500,000 is $3 million. 7, 3.5. 8, 9. That's how many withdrawals to get to 4.5 million, assuming that's the number. Now, understand this. I don't believe any of them, but I'm that guy. I've been involved every national story, certainly not to the level of this. Well, maybe one. But anyway, I don't buy none of it because everything you read is crap and slanted. But I do have to ask, so nobody bothered to tell him? Now, Lisa Guerrero chimed in, and Lisa's a longtime sideline host, all this stuff. She says, for those who don't believe Ohtani, let me say this. After spending 10 years in the NFL, she never spent 10 years in the NFL. 13 years as a sportscaster, married to a baseball player for 14 years. You'd be surprised at how many star athletes don't know who is handling their money, how much they have, or how much they spend. I agree with that. I do. I guarantee you. But I got to tell you, now that's 10, 15 years ago. In the modern age, here we go. But having said all that, I don't care what Ohtani did as long as he didn't bet on baseball. Me personally, you might. You might think it's the worst thing in the world. What are we really discussing here? The only thing we're really discussing here is, did Ohtani bet on baseball? That's it. And if he did bet on baseball, did he bet on his performance? And if he did, then he's got to go. If he bet on baseball, he's got to go for a year. Now, the interesting thing to me is this. We talked about it the other day. There is a direct line. The Alabama baseball coach called one of his buddies about a bet, and he went to Great American Ballpark and made the bet. Well, that was easily traced. The guy bet too much money. So it alerted a reputable legal gambling operation. They then got the guy. They knew who the guy was, and they tracked his phone. They found the fine. That's DraftKings, or that's the Great American Ballpark. That's that. But that's not an illegal bookmaker in California. And I'm going to be very curious to see how they come up, how they squeeze the bookmaker to find this out. Now, with Pete Rose, Pete had all kind of things written down. This is fascinating. But I don't care. I mean, you bet on anything you want. I mean, what the hell, if we're just going to open up our society to craziness, just let's have craziness. Just don't bet on your sport. I can see that. And just don't bet on your performance. I can see that. But other than that, who really cares? Seriously. This clown on the right got into gambling. All right. You know what's interesting? What's interesting is this. This guy, everything looks so innocent. This guy's here. He's hanging with Ohtani. Ohtani looks like this innocent guy. But behind the scenes, baby, things are churning. I always say that. I always say, hey, man, what was their marriage like? Whenever anybody asks me that, I say, let me tell you something. When that front door closes, you don't know nothing. They seemed like the happiest couple. I didn't know she did that. I didn't know he had 6 wives and a freaking dungeon. No, you don't. Why? Because when that front door closes, you don't know nothing. And it's the same thing with this. Everybody's dressed in suits. We want to save face, all that stuff. You don't know nothing. And then you add in mucho dinero, and you really don't know nothing. So we'll see where this goes. And I hope Ohtani was smart enough not to bet on baseball. But you could tell me anything. And I'll say, yeah, I buy it. Yeah, I believe it. But that's just me. If you told me that Ryan Clark, ESPN's resident passive-aggressive racist, was being racist, I'd say, I believe it. If you told me Ryan Clark was not being racist, I'd say, no, there's something there, stop it. It always is the white man with Ryan Clark. Hey, Whitey did this, Whitey did that, bad Whitey. The latest victim of Ryan Clark, who, by the way, we give way too much oxygen because I continue to say nobody turns on ESPN to see what Ryan Clark has to say. Best compliment I got at ESPN was from my bosses when they're like, you're the guy that they turn on to see what you have to say, right or wrong. And then they would make fun of me and say, well, most times it was stupid. And then they would laugh and I'd laugh and we'd go about our business. But Ryan Clark ain't that guy. You know when Ryan Clark's going to come out with something, he's going to come out with something racially charged. The latest victim, Sean Payton. Sean Payton says that, Ryan Clark says that Sean Payton is still mourning his lover. He's still mourning his lover and claims that Sean Payton treated Drew Brees different than he did old Russell Wilson. You're damn right he did. Drew Brees came in there and busted his ass. Russell Wilson came in there and Sean Payton had to tell him, look, Hollywood, just be a quarterback. Just be a quarterback. Don't be a star. Don't be the fraud. Don't be Yannick Ngakoue who came to Indy and he was like, where are all my teachers at? No, just be the quarterback. And here's what just being the quarterback means to Sean Payton. Fly your receivers out for a week. Put them up in fancy hotels. Pay for their meals and throw. Peyton Manning, we drafted a wide receiver. Hey, kid, meet me at Zionsville's football field at 6 a.m. before your press conference. We're going to throw. Be ready to go at 6. Be stretched, ready to go. That's being a quarterback. Not worrying about when your next appearance on Carson is. Yeah, I said Carson. Now, don't worry about your next appearance on Entourage. That's right. I went back at it. Old school. Don't at me about it. But anyway, hey, of course you treat people differently. 1,000%. You always treat the dude that shows up early, does everything right, different than the guy who's worried about his next booking agent, worried about his next appearance, his next brand, his next photo shoot, his next Instagram post. Hey, you're an NFL quarterback, act like one. You're an NFL champion quarterback, then be one. I guarantee you Russell Wilson was early in his career when he was striving. But Russell Wilson did what a lot of dudes do, probably including myself. He got a little taste of Paris. What does that mean? Hey, football, singular focus. But wait a second. There's this whole movie career. Hold on a second. I'm married to a rock star, whatever the hell his wife is. Hold on a second. I'm invited to movie premieres. This is a pretty cool life. I didn't envision this growing up, but now I got it. Me likey. That's right. That's what he found. He found Paris. You can look it up. It's an old saying. But the truth of the matter is he hadn't gotten back to being a quarterback. And I don't give a damn what any guy that never coached says. Of course you treat people differently. So here's Ryan Clark. If I'm a quarterback and I'm worth anything, I do not go play for him. He's behaving like a man that is still mourning his lover. He never treated Drew Brees the way he treated Russell Wilson. And for all that you think Russell Wilson is no longer as a player, what he showed us last year, he has class. Really? Oh, so this guy who, look at that picture, he's the definition of class. I get a kick out of guys that say he has class. There are two things that make me crazy. Not crazy, just make me go, like things that make you go, One is, well, he's got class. That is that's very arrogant, and it makes the guy saying it the authority on, quote, class. Big fat guys in Chicago, if you ever go to Chicago, hang around the hot dog stand. Yeah, that guy's got class. He's a classy dude. No. Ryan Clark wouldn't know class if it bit him in the ass. Ryan Clark's a guy that wouldn't go on with Sage Steele because his politics were different than hers. Ryan Clark's a fraud. He don't get to decide who's got class. The other one that pisses me off is when people say, well, he gets it. Well, Larry Bird, he gets it. Which I always like, wait a second, gets what? What are you the authority on that you get to acknowledge that Larry Bird has what you already have? Makes me crazy. I'm a literal guy. I am. But Ryan Clark saying somebody has class is like me saying I have hair. I can say it. I can dream it. I can think it, but it's completely meaningless. Or being the most handsome man at the Dakich family reunion. Let's be honest. What's that really worth? I mean, my brother, handsome man. Me, Uncle Fester. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. Here's the deal, Ryan Clark. Stop trying to hurt white people. I mean, we get what you're doing. Everybody understands it. Your bosses at ESPN are too afraid to tell you, look, Norby, grow a pair. Will you please? Grow a pair and go, look, we don't need to tell NFL players not to go play for a coach because they're white. We get what you did. The black quarterback got slighted by Whitey. Everybody knows what you're doing. Everybody understands it. And it also shows how stupid you are, Ryan Clark, about the actual world of sports. Let's take the race and all the stupid stuff Ryan Clark says relative to that out of it. It shows he has no understanding of sports, which is weird because the dude did play in the NFL and was okay. Here's the deal. I'll say it again. I walk in. I have a quarterback. He's at 6 a.m. throwing with a rookie wide receiver. He's in all day. I treat that guy different than a guy that, I don't know, decides he's worried about, I don't know, a movie premiere. I'll give you an example. Reggie Miller, Indiana Pacers. We had a kid that I sent. He was a first-round draft choice at Indiana. I called up the Pacers, got a hold of Reggie, said, hey, can this guy come work out with you? He goes, yeah, but he can't get in the way. He's just got to do it. So Reggie Miller's workout was at NIFS, National Institute of Fitness and Sport, on the campus of IUPUI. Reggie started at like 9 a.m. and ended at 5. It involved an hour of this, an hour of that, lunch, an hour back, blah, 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 blah. It was everything. Dude lasted 1 day with Reggie Miller. 1 day. Never really made it in the NBA, even though he was a first-round draft choice. Never really made it. And I told the coach of the team that drafted him, yeah, you ain't getting what you think. I'm telling you, there's a difference in professional sports between those that get treated as champions and those that are frontmen, front runners, frauds, face guys, whatever name you want. And Russell Wilson has morphed into a front runner, a face guy. Drew Brees never did. All you got to do is talk to people that played with both. And Ryan Clark doesn't like it because, once again, Whitey is the problem. I got 2 words for you. My ass. Anyway, we move it along. Danny Hurley wants you to know that the Big East was robbed. And I'm going to say something about Danny Hurley. When Danny Hurley talks, I tend to listen. I think Danny Hurley is interesting. I do. He thinks the Big East got robbed. Seton Hall should have been in. And I don't necessarily believe that winning the NIT validates that you should have been in. I really don't. I don't. Seton Hall's got a game. They're playing in the semifinals. All right, that's good. But I don't necessarily think that means you should have been in. Yeah, obviously, a lot of these teams that are in the NIT are good. A lot of these teams could win a game or two in the NCAA tournament. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't. But he says the lack of Big East teams in this year's NCAA March Madness sucks. and he goes after the selection committee, telling CBS Sports the committee made an attempt to make it as difficult as possible for Hurley and the Huskies. He ain't wrong. Look at what we've done in non-conference games. Seton Hall beat us by 15. We've won 8 straight in this tournament, all by significant margins. But they were good enough to beat us. They were good enough to beat Marquette. They should have been in. There should have been 5 or 6 Big East teams in this tournament. I'm going to speak like a Jersey guy. The mistake was made. It sucks. He's right. He's right. He ain't wrong. No, he's right. Let's hear from Danny Hurley.
And I don't know if you know this yet or not, but you do have the early tip on Thursday in Boston.
Okay, so it gives me a little bit more us against the world stuff that I could utilize because, I do think that the committee, has tried to make this as difficult as they can on us to do it. The Florida Atlantic, Northwestern, 8-9, obviously, the Auburn, San Diego State, and Illinois, and what they look like with Iowa State. We know what they. We know what they had in mind, and it just, it's more fuel on the fire.
Well, I'll see you in Boston on Thursday, Dan. Thanks so much.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, he's right. He ain't wrong. Well, I don't give a damn what you tell me. He ain't wrong. Look, I understand that NCAA committee guy will arrogantly say, wow, it fell that way. And I buy that to a certain degree. I do. I buy that. I told you this before. I went through this NCAA one-day deal, and I'm not going to lie to you. We got the bracket. We didn't think of anything crazy like, screwing a team. And when you looked at the bracket at the end, not Dan Steer. Oh, man, what's my buddy's name? I forget his name real quick. Anyway, he gets up there and he says, okay, let's look at the conspiracy theories. And he got out the bracket, and we looked at it, and you know what we said? Huh. Didn't see that. Huh. Okay. Didn't. Okay. Yeah. Look, Patino's playing Calipari in the 3rd round, something like that. So I go both ways on this. But when I saw the bracket, I thought to myself, give me a timeout. Give me a 30 here. Come on. Give me a 30. You're talking about Auburn just won the SEC. Illinois just won the Big Ten. Iowa State just won the Pac-12. What are you talking about here? Or the Big 12. What are you talking about here? Are you out of your collective mind? They're doing something. I don't know what it is, but they're doing something. And I didn't like it. See, I'm not saying – now, the TV times are always interesting to me. The TV times, every time we were at Indiana and we had a decent team, they put Bob Knight in Indiana in the primetime spot, which was usually like 9:30 at night. Every time. And every time Coach Knight would bitch. Every time. Danny Hurley's getting that treatment. Now, they're playing the early game, which, what the hell? Why is that bad? I don't know. I don't know what's good. I don't know what's bad. I always said this. If we play the first game and we win, boy, is that scout fun. You're sitting there, you grab some popcorn, you get your notebooks, and you get ready to scout the next game. I've got one team, you've got the other, and it's kind of relaxing. You're away from the team, you're sitting there, there's fans, there's coaches, there's people around, and you just have a good time. If you play the second game, you win the game. Now, somebody's got to hang back with a couple players that got to piss in a cup. You don't get out of there forever. And next thing you know, you get home at 1 o'clock and you're sitting in a film room with the head coach till about 5 in the morning. When we played in the MAC championship game, this is a true story. We always played the late game, so we'd get back, get some food, put it in my room. I had a suite, but I also had a mother-in-law. I had my wife in there. One night, true story, the night before the championship game, we were up till about 4 or 5 in the morning scouting, getting ready. I said, hey, look, we're going to meet at noon. Sleep in, get yourself some rest. We got a big day tomorrow. I slide into my bed with my wife. I thought just my wife. Next thing you know, I put my arms around. It's my mother-in-law. Ucha capesta, my eyes are burning. I'm like, well, I'm getting the hell out of here. There was no blankets in the suite. They had used them all for kids and such. I took towels. I slept on the couch. I put towels over me. That's right. That's right. That's how the MAC does it, baby. Yeah, we got beat in the second half by Kent and Antonio Gates, but I digress. Danny Hurley, I'm not sure he's right or wrong, but I love the fact that he's saying it, because as soon as I looked at that bracket, man, I went, you got to be kidding me. You put in 4 conference champs in his bracket, and I mean the good 4, the Big 12, the Big 10. What? Capesta, my eyes, and San Diego State. That ain't easy, people. And Florida Atlantic and Boo Booey. Hey, look, you got to play somebody, but I ain't mad at Hurley for saying it. I love what Purdue Boilermaker head coach Matt Painter had to say. I don't like it. I love it. Matt's become like the conscious of basketball. He's become like the smartest guy in coaching in college basketball. He is. He has become that. And I'm here for it. Now, understand this. I looked this up. You can make an argument for Shaq, but what I have watched, Zach Edey is the most dominant big man that I have seen in my lifetime. Now, I've watched college basketball since 1972. That's a long time. Like, I was 10 years old. Indiana went to the Final Four in 72. That's when I first started paying attention. Bill Walton became the most dominant player, was the most dominant player, and I got to give him that. And then there was a lot. I didn't see Jabbar. I saw Elijah Wan. I played Ewing, Sampson. All these guys came up in that era. But I got to tell you, none were as dominant as Zach Edey. And Matt Painter's had enough. Matt Painter's had enough of, well, he's just tall. Yeah, he's just tall, but he also has a nice jump hook. He can also spin away from the defense. He also catches everything, which is a big deal for big guys. He also knocks in his free throws, which means he can shoot the ball. But the best thing about Zach Edey? The best thing about Zach Edey is he knows who he is. He ain't trying to pick and pop. He ain't trying to go to the top of the key, set a ball screen, fade for a 3. He's hit 1 3 against Indiana, cost us a cover, but we ain't mad about it. Anyway, so Zach Edey does what Zach Edey does. And Purdue does what Purdue does. Get on the low block and whoop ass. All right? Here's Matt Painter on whether Zach Edey's just tall.
You see people, around the country, even, fans, but even people that cover the game say he's just tall. What would you say to the people that say that are only looking at the size and not just the game?
Yeah, they just shouldn't cover basketball. Yeah, And so, you go to school and you learn things or whatever, but we all don't like every single class we're in, right? It's kind of a necessary evil. It's like going to work. You don't like everybody you work with, or you don't like certain parts of your job, and it's tough, right? You got to be able to deal with certain things that are difficult. And so I just think everybody should take tests on their knowledge of what they're doing. I think all coaches should take a test so they understand refereeing, and I think all referees should take a test so they understand coaching, and I think all journalists should have to take a basketball quiz or a test, or anybody that tweets, they should have to be able to do it. And if they say something so moronic as that, then they should have to have a probationary status where they can't tweet for 3 months. I think it'll help like society, just try to knock out the fools, so they don't have to, meet at the local Walmart and say things that don't make any sense.
Well, if you knock off Twitter, then more people are going to meet at the Walmart and say things that don't make any sense. But I love what he said there. I'd add to it, if you took out statistics on the Big Ten Network or on CBS or wherever for former players, including Fox, if you said, okay, you can't use stats during a halftime show, not one former player other than Charles Barkley, Doug Gottlieb, or Kenny Smith would be able to speak. Charles and Kenny would talk about something crazy. Gottlieb would break it down. But could you imagine Rafael Davis or Mike DeCourcy? Mike never played, but guys could use statistics. Are you crazy? They wouldn't have anything to say. Oh, man, you got to get the ball to Boo Booey. Oh, okay. But Painter is absolutely right. We have the dumbest of the dumb covering college basketball. We have stupid covering college basketball. There was a kid yesterday who owns a blog site in Kentucky. And he said, and I'm going to speak, I'm assuming in his voice, I sure hope that Dejan Calipari yesterday, at his radio show, I sure hope John Calipari is contrite and apologetic for how the season went. Huh? You what now? You what? You're doing what? Oh, really? Oh, okay. I mean, if that's what you hope, then okay. I guess that's what we're supposed to have. I mean, the level of stupid that covers college basketball is astounding. Like, you can't watch Seth Davis, Candace Parker, Wally a little bit, and get anything out of it. Like, I get DEI. Nobody gets DEI like me. But you got to sit there and listen to Candace Parker talk about what? She don't even fake it. She's become like Rex Chapman. Like, Rex didn't even fake it. Rex just got up there, didn't know teams, didn't know nothing. Like, Candace Parker don't know nothing. I get it. She's kind of pretty, but left her husband for a chick. We all get it. That's like, that puts you, and is African American, that puts you like in the never can be fired category. But she's among the dumbest to cover college basketball. She is. I mean, if you listen to her, you start getting smaller because your brain shrinks. My big size 8 becomes a size 7 head. Oh, man, is he right. You ever listen to Jeff Goodman? Like, Jeff Goodman's butthurt at everyone. Jeff Goodman got butthurt because, well, when he was at ESPN, he was so stupid that those of us that worked with him were like, come on, this is too stupid. Even for ESPN, this guy's too stupid. So he mad at me and Greenberg and Crean and every coach that made him look stupid. Well, because he is stupid. I would argue that Matt Painter was talking directly to Jeff Greenberg. I would argue that. Or Jeff Goodman, whatever the hell his name is. I would argue that he was speaking to Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster, the two dumbest people in college. Now, Doster played Division 12 and was bad, but he fancies himself a tough guy. I'm just telling you, I would argue that Matt Painter was talking to Rob Doster and Jeff Goodman. That's what I would argue. Now, that may be wrong, but I think he was. I think he was looking directly into the camera saying, we have the dumbest people out there. They don't know anything about anything, but they cover basketball. And they have a pretty big audience, but they're really stupid. Good for you, Goodman. Good for you, Doster. You got yourself in a press conference during the NCAA tournament. God bless. Respect, yo, the two stupidest guys in college basketball got themselves in a press conference. This is beautiful. This is the kind of stuff I'm just digging left and right. This is happening in Chicago, and now it's happening in Minnesota. Well, let's hear. Let's hear from the dumbass, out-of-touch Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, on who he's blaming for car thefts.
We've also got to go upstream. We've got to make sure that the automobiles are not so easy to steal so that they're a tempting, attractive nuisance for young people. And, right now we are investigating 2 major automakers because their cars are dramatically too easy to steal for young people.
Hey, let me say this again. Hey, we got a lot of thugs running around here in Minnesota. We got a lot of thugs, and they know which cars to steal. And my sorry ass is protecting my people. I'm African-American. 90% of the car thefts are African-American stealers, and I'm trying to protect my people. And I can't call them thugs. I got to call them young people. This is the formula set by the idiotic, ridiculous, stupid mayor of Chicago. Where these are young people. No, they're not. They're thugs. Complete and total thugs. Ryan Clark said I could say it. And I don't give a damn if Ryan Clark didn't say I can say it. These dudes are thugs. Look, why should we protect people that go after hardworking folks' property? Explain it to me. I'll sit back and listen. Explain to me why we should go after the companies as opposed to go after the people, the thugs. that are taking other people's hard-working people property? I'll hang up and listen. You can't answer that question because you're so dumb. You're so into protecting your community. And make no mistake, that's what it is. It's your community. I want to be equal, but we separate our communities. Our community, your community. That's all this guy's doing. It's just a blueprint set by this complete idiot, ridiculous clown that's running Chicago into the ground now. That's all he's doing. You work your ass off. You get taxed up the yang. You get a car. That car gets stolen by someone that don't want to work. That car gets stolen that don't want to do nothing, probably doesn't have a father, acts like a jackass his entire life, and yet it ain't the person stealing the car's fault. It's the car company. Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. No, that makes absolute sense. God bless you. I mean, honest to God, you put idiots in charge, you put race baiters in charge, you put DEI hires in charge, and this is what you get. It is. I've not seen, let's say, your community architect, I've not seen one attorney general say the same thing. I've not seen one white mayor, one white attorney general say the same thing. Racist! No, it's not. Common sense. Separate but equal? Or equal but special? What do we want? Where are we at? Dude steals a car. Go arrest the dude stealing the car. I don't know what to tell you. You're not young people. We need somebody that's tough. We need somebody that's tough on crime. Hey, man, these thugs ain't stealing cars in my city. If you do, you're going to jail. Ooh, that might have a little bit more of an effect than some thug sitting there going, yeah, man, look at our guy Ellison. He's protecting us. Honest to God. Good for Minnesota. At least Minneapolis. Minneapolis just a shithole. And anybody that goes and lives in Minneapolis, you live in a shithole. You're going to a shithole. It's a shithole.